Hi, and welcome to Middle Class Film Class. I'm Pete.
I'm Joseph.
And I'm Tyler.
And thank you for joining us this week. This week we landed on my pick on the Wheel of Destiny, Annihilation.
Can you describe its form?
No.
Start from the beginning.
We've sent in drones and teams of people, but nothing comes back.
It's destroying everything.
It's not destroying. It's making something new.
So we've been putting this movie off for a couple weeks due to cronyism, nepotism, rigged wheels, and
It just keeps popping up.
Yeah, we can't deny it. Destiny is calling, and Annihilation is it. So we're going to break that down in a little bit. I think all three of us really enjoyed this movie and have some strong opinions about it, so should be a good discussion. But first, we have our streaming picks. So Tyler, do you want to start us off with your streaming pick for the week?
Yeah, sure. So my streaming pick is on Hulu. It is Young Adults starring Charlize Theron. This movie is a sleeper for sure. It's directed by Jason Reitman, who, if you don't know, was the writer of Juno, a really cool indie movie. It's about a woman who is a writer. She divorces this guy, goes back to her small town Minnesota place, trying to rekindle a romance with her ex-boyfriend, who is played by Walmart bot Chris Pratt, Patrick Wilson. And
That's who her love is in this, is Patrick Wilson?
yeah. And it's a really good movie as far as keeping you entertained and like sucked into the story. So and I have to say too that I did have a streaming pick. It was Tim and Eric's $1 billion movie, which is streaming on the legendary Pluto TV.
Oh, really?
Yeah,
It's on Pluto already.
And that just sealed the deal for me on the recommendation for Pluto TV, is that they're the only ones streaming the Tim and Eric $1 billion movie. But I digress.
They're the only ones?
Yes. Yeah.
Pluto.
Yeah.
I hope you're listening.
Young Adult streaming on Hulu right now. I believe it's exclusively on Hulu too. I think that's like one of their movies that they say it's exclusively on their service. It's a sleeper movie. It's a really good drama, great writing, and yeah.
Jason Reitman directed Juno, right?
I believe he only wrote the movie for Juno. He also did.
I think he got it
Diablo-
backwards because Diablo Cody wrote
Yeah.
Juno. I think he got it backwards. I know he directed it.
I know he directed Thank You for Smoking, which is a really great movie as well.
He's got some pretty big name movies. I know he did Up in the Air, which was
Oh yeah.
pretty good. I mean, well made for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, so Young Adults, check it out. It's a sleeper
Cool.
movie. It's a sleeper car
I've
movie.
seen it. It's pretty solid.
Yeah. What about you, Joseph? What is your streaming pick for this week?
Well, Tyler, my streaming pick for this week is going along with continuing the theme of Halloween, another horror kind of classic sleeper, in my opinion, anyway. Horror movie made in 1987, streaming on Amazon Prime, called The Gate. So this movie is about, main characters are these two kids. One is Stephen Dorff, also known as Deacon Frost from Blade.
Nice.
Oh yes.
And so basically it's kind of like a kid's poltergeist, like a demonic poltergeist with kids as the main characters, because there's a tree involved that gets cut down, and these kids accidentally opened a portal to hell.
Oh shit.
And with like kind of coincidental things that happen, everything kind of aligns to opening. Like there's like these hallucinations. A dog dies as like a sacrifice. They read this text out
Is
loud.
Is it campy? Like, is it a campy movie?
Yeah, it's campy, but it's also a really well-made movie. Like the effects in this movie, there's a lot of forced perspective filmmaking.
Mm-hmm.
When I was watching it, I was like, how the frick did they make this and they shoot this scene? Because there's a lot of like these little demon guys running around that are like,
okay.
maybe like shin high, and it's like it's not stop motion or animated or green screened. And I was like, how did they do this? And then you see these pictures of behind the scenes, and it's like the set is giant, and like there's incredible depth of focus.
Is that what you mean by forced perspective?
Yeah.
I've heard that phrase before. I'm just not sure
Yeah, so forced perspective.
exactly what it means.
It's like an optical illusion, almost. Like in Lord of the Rings, Gandalf is sitting like 6 feet in front of Frodo Baggins.
All the hobbits.
Yeah, on the wagon. It's not like CG'd. So it's a little bit more
practical effects to
Yeah.
make things look smaller.
Yeah, instead of relying on special effects. So it's really
cool.
it's really good. It's actually kind of terrifying. It's rated PG-13.
It's like more of a kids movie.
Yeah, it's a kids movie, but it's
kids thriller.
yeah, it's kind of terrifying though, especially the little demon guys. If you're looking for a good, actually kind of scary 80s horror movie with kids, I recommend The Gate, streaming on Amazon Prime.
You know what's funny is that my Amazon app that I have on the Fire Stick, it's been recommending me The Gate for like a couple of months now. So yeah, I think I might check that out.
Yeah.
So I guess I'll round it out because yours, Tyler, was a Hulu pick and Amazon Prime pick for Joseph, and mine is I guess mine's Amazon too. Never mind, screw that. I was like, oh, mine's on Netflix. So this is an Amazon pick as well.
Mm-hmm.
This is a 2015 release called Bone Tomahawk.
Oh yeah.
Shit.
Tyler, have you seen Bone Tomahawk?
I fell asleep while I was watching it. I'm ashamed to admit
Liddy
that
fell
because
asleep.
I'm ashamed to admit that. But what I did watch, it was good.
Wait, so where did you fall asleep?
I fell asleep when, well, I don't want to give spoilers away.
Well, what
dude.
was happening? Was there they were just talking? Was it did they get into any?
It was right when they first start the cannibals, when they first start fucking with the group.
Oh, okay. So
when you first introduced to the supernatural element of the movie,
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
okay.
I didn't want to say like
hell of a time
aliens.
to fall asleep.
Yeah, that's
it only goes uphill from there.
or downhill, depending on your
Or
perspective.
downhill, however you view it.
So Bone Tomahawk is a very polarizing movie. Joseph and I watched it with our respective significant others, and they were both angry at us after watching it.
Oh shit.
They're like, why did we watch this?
Well, because a lot of it is talking and character building.
Yeah, it's a slow burn at the beginning. You get to know the characters pretty well. It's got
Kurt Russell.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And let me see who else is in this. It's what's the guy from Richard Jenkins?
Mm-hmm.
And then the aforementioned Patrick Wilson is also in it too.
Yeah.
Patrick Wilson is just a wart on this movie. Not that he's a bad actor or anything like that, because he does it well in it, but his character is just so useless in this movie. You're like, would you just kill this guy so you can get ahead?
And David Arquette is in this movie too.
Yeah, for a hot minute.
Yeah.
It's a Western. Unclear the era, but probably around the same time in the 1750s or 1800s or something.
Mm-hmm.
And they're on a journey to rescue a kidnapped mistress, and it kind of beginning or late into the second act turns into a supernatural thriller, kind of in the vein of The Green Inferno. If you're into kind of slasher gore, it gets intense near the end, and you're just like, Jesus, some of the scenes.
It's pretty shocking.
Yeah, it's ruthless. So don't watch Bone Tomahawk if you have a weak stomach,
Yeah,
or if you're looking for a lighthearted romp with your children.
I've heard it was pretty graphic.
It's very
yes,
graphic.
It's that, yeah. But it's very good, and the characters are so great. There's an interaction between Kurt Russell and Richard Jenkins at the beginning, revolving around corn chowder. It's hilarious, and it's like the banter between it. I'm not sure who wrote the movie, but it's really well produced. Oh, you know what? It's the guy
Zoller.
did. It's the guy that did.
Brawl and Cell Block 99.
Yep, and Dragged Across Concrete.
Yeah.
This was his first movie. I totally forgot that. And it's the writing in all those movies are the dialogue is pretty great.
Oh, yeah, it is his first movie, yeah.
Yeah. So anyways, Bone Tomahawk streaming on Amazon Prime. Check it out right now.
Sweet.
And for our next segment, we have a special segment this week. We are having a call-in from one of our fans. Connie Rupert is the grandmother to my girlfriend Brianna, and she's 84 years old. She loves movies as well, and she's a Netflix pro. And I asked her to call in, and she said she'd love to. So we're gonna call her now.
Hello?
Hey Connie, how you doing?
I lose my voice every once in a while, but other than that, I'm doing fine.
Okay, cool. Can you hear me okay?
Yeah, I can hear you fine.
So I got Tyler and Joseph on the other line. Guys, can you say something?
Hey, Connie.
Hey, Connie.
Can I say something about what, honey?
Can you hear Joseph and Tyler talking?
Hello. Hi,
Hello,
Connie.
Connie.
Hi, how are you?
Doing well.
Cool. So you can hear them talking?
Yes.
Okay, great. Okay, so here's what we would like you to do. So we have this show that you're on right now, and basically we give movie recommendations on it. So you told me about a movie that you watched this week that you really liked and you wanted to recommend to people. You want to tell us about it?
It was called Patsy and Loretta. It was about Patsy Cline and Loretta Lynn and how they grew up or how they got their start in music. And it was very interesting because they're two of my favorite singers. And I remember when Patsy Cline was killed, and she used to date my husband's best friend's brother.
What?
No way.
That's awesome.
What?
So where was this at? This was back in the East Coast or Midwest?
Back in the Midwest, yes. She was from Virginia, but she was visiting for the summer, and I guess Dale started dating her. Excuse me, but we were teenagers then, so it wasn't anything. Because she didn't really get her start till 1960s. But it was very interesting to see how they got together and how they became very, very close friends up until the time Patsy died.
So let me ask you something. This was Patsy Cline that Dale dated?
Yes, it wasn't my husband Dale. It was his best friend's brother Dale. His name was Dale also.
All right, let me ask you one more question, Connie. Who dumped who?
I don't know. I was married to my Dale for 55 years.
But did other Dale dump Patsy Cline? Because that would be something I'd tell people forever if I did that.
No, I don't think I think she just went back to Virginia.
Oh, okay. She took the nice way out.
She's a Rolling Stone.
So tell us about the movie. Was a documentary?
Yes, it was done by their two daughters. They got together and told stories about their moms and how all the trials and tribulations and everything that they went through trying to make it big in the business, and what they had to leave their children and how the children felt about them leaving. And it was a Hallmark show, and I just really enjoyed it because of how I feel about their songs, and it was just a real enjoyable movie.
And who are the two features? Is Patsy Cline and who else?
Loretta Lynn.
And where did you watch this movie, Connie? On Netflix, on cable?
I watched it on Lifetime.
Okay. So probably won't be able to find this on Netflix, but if you have, I would imagine Lifetime probably replays a lot of their stuff. So
Lifetime plays a lot of old movies, which I watch a lot of, and I don't like gory movies or scary movies because I live alone and I don't like that kind of stuff anyway.
yeah, when you listen to this episode again, once it's released, don't watch any of the movies we recommended before this.
I don't like war shows. I don't like anything to do with the politics or nothing like that. I like happy ending shows or musicals. I love musicals.
Well,
What was the name of the movie again?
Patsy and Loretta. It was on last night at 8:00.
well, Connie, thank you for letting us call you and take this call. It means a lot that you're on the show, and it means a lot that you wanted to listen to it.
Well, thank you so much for calling.
No problem, and we'll talk to you soon, okay?
See you later, Connie.
Bye.
All right, and you have a God-filled day. Bye-bye.
All right, that was a great call from Connie. I don't know about you guys, I love that.
I love that she's watching Lifetime. Like it's Lifetime is
It's perfect.
Lifetime is a testament to early 2000s, late 90s TV made movies. I love it.
Mm-hmm.
It's Americana for sure.
Yeah.
And I was talking with Connie a little earlier this week about making sure she was still on board with giving us a recommendation.
Yeah.
And she asked me, does it have to be on Netflix? I said, no, it could be on cable or whatever you like.
Just
And she told
any
me what-
movie, really.
She told me what movie it was, and then told me about her about Dale dating Patsy Cline, and I'm like, you gotta talk about that.
That's pretty sick. That is pretty
crazy.
sick.
That's really weird.
So thanks, Connie, if you're listening. We love you.
Yeah, love your recommendation. I actually do want to check it out because I actually am a fan of Patsy Cline.
I almost asked you, Tyler, if you were a fan because I figured that's right up your alley.
Oh yeah. Patsy Cline is legendary. Yeah, definitely recommend her.
All right, let's get into some Annihilation, shall we?
Oh yeah.
Yes.
Okay, so Annihilation 2018 release, directed by Alex Garland, written for screen by Alex Garland, and the novel by Jeff Vandermeer, also known as the Southern Reach series. Is that correct, Tyler?
Yes, that is correct.
Perfect. Natalie Portman stars opposite Oscar Isaac, who doesn't play a huge role, but is definitely one of the headliners. Jennifer Jason Leigh, Gina Rodriguez, Tessa Thompson. Those are the notable names. And then there's one of the main females, Tuva Novotny. Never heard her before, but she's the female scientist that gets eaten by the bear first.
Oh, okay.
What kind of movie would you call this?
A sci-fi at heart. Yeah, it's a sci-fi at heart, I think, but it's more. I mean, just like if anyone's out there has seen Midsummer, it was a kind of a daylit sci-fi horror movie, but really was more of a relationship breakup movie.
Sci-fi, that's a stretch.
Yeah.
Sorry, you're right. It's not a sci-fi. It's more of a horror drama.
Well, it's
It does-
kind of there is scientific elements to it.
but not fiction.
Well, just the chemical, the drugs. Yeah.
But I mean, the underlying story that kind of goes through this in Annihilation is that Natalie Portman's character Lena is married to Oscar Isaac. They're both war vets. He's still in the army. She's a professor of biology at Johns Hopkins, and she is cheating on him. And throughout the movie, she makes a series of decisions to go into this contaminated zone called the Shimmer that no one's ever come out alive from except for her husband.
Which, for the record, I hate the term "the Shimmer." They could have definitely
Really?
Yeah, they could have definitely made a better term for that.
What would you call it?
The border.
But it's not just a border; it's an encompassing area.
I guess so. I was
The
just thinking
dome.
of the source material because they call it
The oil slick.
they call it the border in the books, and I thought that was more representative of what it was because you're crossing a border into.
Yeah, but once you're in it, then it's.
You're still in the shimmer.
I think
That's
it
true.
encompasses the feeling of what happens inside of it, more than
The refraction zone.
Yeah, more than the border would. I think.
Actually, yeah, that is true too because they do make a really big point in this movie about how everything in this area refracts everything. So, yeah, I don't know. I retract my statement. The shimmer is actually okay.
Well, good.
Well, I'm glad you're on our side, Tyler.
We did it, guys. So the story plot or the plot line goes: a meteor hits a lighthouse, and from the lighthouse grows this foreign biological entity. Not really any one thing, but it starts growing this space that they call the shimmer, and it's slowly encompassing part of this marshland, and it gets wider and wider every few months. It goes another 100, 200, 500 yards or so, and eventually the government's worried that it's going to take over the entire world if not stopped. So they send in a team of female research scientists.
First they send in groups of military.
Multiple groups of
Yeah,
gun-toting meathead soldiers that all come back. Not they don't come back at all. They just die in there, supposedly.
Then they decide to take a feminist approach.
On the topic of the female lead cast, it was kind of interesting to see the scene where the female scientists, soldiers, what have you, meet for the first time.
Yeah,
they're sitting at a table, and they're talking about their jobs and where they're from, which is very different than most groups of females talking in a movie. Most of the time you see they're talking about their husbands or boyfriends or having kids, or the fact that they're glad that they don't have kids, or they're away from their kids at this moment. You know, any female-centric movie that you see is generally revolving around their family life or the boyfriend or husband or whatever. And they don't do that. The entry to all of them, they're just talking about their lives and how long it's been since they were stationed at the Southern Reach, and how they're excited to go into the shimmer, blah 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 blah. And it's pretty cool.
That's what I found enjoyable about this cast as well, and how he went about it, because it really doesn't feel ham-fisted like, oh, this is females because women empowerment. They actually did it the right way, where it's just like, these are just people who, and really I want to note that it seems that everything has been manipulated by the government in this movie. So the reason why they're choosing an all-female team to go in, because they never tried it before, and it's like an alien entity sort of thing, so they're just trying like different control groups. So it just for me, that's what it seemed. It was very just, this is
even the selection of the females from the story's perspective was deliberate.
Yeah, for sure.
They do say that. They said, we've tried men with guns. Let's try a group of ladies or women or
with brains.
Yeah.
Yeah, but it's not just like women because for women. It's just women because like they're equal to everyone else too. So it's just, but I don't know. I thought it was one thing I will say about Annihilation, it was a very feminist movie, which I am super down for, because it wasn't it wasn't on that fact of being feminist, if that makes sense.
Like it wasn't,
for the sake of it,
banging its own drum that it's a feminist movie.
Yeah, it was truly like, it was just a group of female scientists. It was nice to not have the PC culture behind, like, this has to be an all-female cast. Like it,
or hey, let's remake Ghostbusters, but it's all women. That's feminist.
Yeah, it was really just
like,
it was
make a new movie that's
like
women
Ocean's
are the
11
center
remake.
Yeah. Oh boy.
And I guess the only reason why I bring it up is because
let's capitalize on that.
I think the only reason why I bring up the feminist aspect of Annihilation is because Hollywood is really what has been a very misogynistic industry for decades. So to see a movie like Annihilation felt like a
It's pretty cool.
breath of fresh air, because it was just like, this isn't, this doesn't feel misogynistic. It was just like, this story was written and it just happened to be a group of women, and it was great.
The first couple times I saw it too, it didn't stick out to me like, wow, look, an all-female cast. It was just like, this is a great movie, period.
Yeah.
I do have to say
then,
that this is the best reboot of Ghostbusters that I've seen.
By far. That's funny. I got a couple thoughts about the characters. I think it was interesting that the lead character, I mean, you're sympathetic to her, but then you have these intercut scenes of her cheating on her husband over and over again. And then you're like, oh, what a bitch. She's just a, oh, hold on a second. What an asshole.
Oh,
she is. Sorry, that was very misogynistic to me to call her a bitch. If that was a guy doing that, you'd call him an asshole. Yeah, she was unlikable in that. I mean, every single from when you're seeing the flashbacks of her and Kane, Oscar Isaac's character, everyone except for one tiny little clip of them reading a book on a couch,
they're in
which I'll
bed.
talk about later. They're in bed.
They're
yeah,
in bed.
All her flashbacks of her basically like sexy time with her husband, like that's all she cares about. Those are her most valuable moments in her memory. For her dead, so in her mind, her husband who's been dead for a year or missing for a year, and that's all she can think about is them laying in bed and her talking about, oh, if we can solve immortality, I could look like this forever. Aren't I hot? It's like, wow, you're kind of conceited and superficial and, admittedly super smart and, able to take care of yourself because she's, been through the Army in 8 years and multiple tours. But you have this like kind of dichotomy for how you're supposed to feel about her. You like her, you get sympathize with her, but then you're like, wow, okay, she's a cheater.
Yeah, I mean, the flashbacks imply that her relationship with Oscar Isaac was completely like sexual in her mind. Like that's what it feels like. That's all she was getting out of it.
Yeah, and he was not painted in the best light too, in the flashbacks. It's her, like lording her intelligence over him and talking about how good she looks in multiple scenes. It's kind of weird.
I think right off the bat with this movie, it fosters a feeling of intrigue, and Alex Garland is a master of that. I think, especially with Ex Machina, it first starts off and like you're already hooked, and with this movie, I think it was really well done that they started at the end of the story in the beginning.
Yeah, they hook you in with like her being interrogated by a hazmat suited government agency.
Yeah, and really when you first to go watch Annihilation, you don't really know what you're going to expect. I mean, unless like you've read the source material, you're going to that movie pretty cold, even if you know like somewhat about the plot. And that's why I think that first scene of her being interrogated is really great, because you need to have that really strong intrigue for your audience to continue watching. And her being in like an enclosed case with everyone watching, and then the guy, basically he's talking about an alien. You can already assume that in that first scene. And for me, I'm a super big fan of H.P. Lovecraft, and all of his stories are super existential horror-like, and this kind of mixes that in with like a Claudenstein X-Files feel.
Right.
So yeah, right off the bat, he captures that feeling of like intrigue instantly with that interrogation.
The beginning of the movie, I can't remember which. The interrogation doesn't come first. That's not the first thing you see in the movie, right?
No, I think it is.
It's the sequence. Or is it the sequence of the meteor landing?
No, it's her being interrogated first, and then she basically reaches the end of her interview, or this segment of her interview, and she's like, I'm not sure, I don't know.
Yeah.
And then it goes into the acoustic guitar riff.
Yeah, so
the spinning, panning shot of the lighthouse, and the meteor hits it.
Something about the that beginning is like, I see what you mean, Tyler, how it like hooks you like right from the get-go, because it's very ominous.
Mm-hmm.
It's because there's a lot of like questions right from the beginning of the movie, and something about the acoustic guitar. It's for a sci-fi movie. There's a lot of folk music in this, and it's not something you normally would see in a sci-fi movie.
Yeah,
usually a lot of theremin.
Yeah.
not until the very end of the movie does it get.
Oh God!
Does it
so
turn
good.
Simon,
into
actually, a trivia here for this movie is Simon and Garfunkel are the ones who wrote that song that plays continuously throughout the movie. I can't remember which song it was.
It's called "Desperately Hoping," and it's Crosby, Stills, and Nash performs it.
Oh, that's what it was. Okay,
Yeah.
They sound similar.
Yeah. It's one of those bands your dad listens to.
Well, I was incorrect on that one.
Yeah, so that was a very not odd, but it was a nice juxtaposition of like basically almost being on another world and listening to like grounded folk music.
The music choices were perfect. It was great. I mean, you really do, the majority of the time, it's just like you said, you're in this unfamiliar world, but that's kind of the entire movie. You're in a familiar place with unfamiliar situations, and the music is very grounded, very down to earth. And when that first time that Desperately Hoping comes on and Kane comes back through the door, super impactful.
Yeah.
Super emotional.
Did you guys notice the lighting in this movie made everything look like there was like a dust in the air?
Yeah.
It's like Spielberg-esque, where there's lens flares on everything.
Yeah.
Usually when they were in the building, inside a building.
I really liked that because it was definitely a contrast to what the area in the Shimmer looked like to real life, and it seemed like real life was just like kind of dusty. But then you go in the Shimmer, and it's very vibrant and very fluid, so to speak.
Mm-hmm.
The way they did the Shimmer was pretty interesting too, because every for the Shimmer, the border of the Shimmer, when you walk through the border, is this kind of growing, rising, constantly evolving, like oil slick look, almost like oil and water on top of water. Yeah. And it's got that rainbow shimmer effect. And when they go in, every time you see water, it has this rainbowish refraction on it. And every time there's a sunbeam that comes through, like a Jacob's ladder comes through the canopy in the forest or in the marshlands, it's got this rainbow shimmer on it, which just shows that even the light's refracting. Everything you see gets refracted. Yeah. Which is basically the ground rule inside of the Shimmer that causes all of this turmoil.
I thought it was super impressive by the visual effects team to have every moisture surface be shimmer-like, because I don't know if you noticed, but even the mist coming up from the swamp had the shimmer effect on it. In every shot, even in shots that were out of focus where you could see the water, had the shimmer effect on it. Like, they went to that much detail to make sure that everything was quote-unquote shimmery.
Yeah, the set design was beautiful. There's so the basis behind the Shimmer is that when inside it, everything gets refracted. We mentioned that, but that includes plant life, animal life, people and their memories. Even at one point, you realize Lena is being interviewed. It keeps cutting back and forth throughout the movie to her being interviewed by this government agency, and you look down and you see her left arm has this figure 8 tattoo on it that she doesn't have at the beginning of the movie. And after the first intense encounter with the mutant crocodile, she has a bruise. She thinks she got a bruise on her left arm, and she goes, "Oh, I must have got hit by the crocodile or something." And that's the beginning of her absorbing the tattoo of what's her name?
It was the paramedic, I think, right?
Yeah, Thornton,
Yeah.
Anya, the paramedic, yeah. And she's got that. She's got a kind of a butch personality, and she's got tattoos, and she's rough, and she likes to carry the giant Gatling gun around her, strapped over her shoulder. But she's got that tattoo on her arm, and it just absorbs right across to her, which is, I thought they were going to mention that at some point, like the characters were going to comment on it, because that seems like a very obvious thing to see, an insane thing to happen,
Yeah.
but they just don't even mention it.
I think they're
Which
just
is
so
pretty cool.
distracted by their environment. Well, actually, in one point of the movie, the psychologist, she says that it feels like we have the onset of dementia, and
Oh, yeah.
and that they were
Jennifer
like
Jason
kind
Leigh's
of
character.
yeah, they were kind of losing their minds at some point. So they probably were just, a bunch of old senile people running around in the
Yeah.
Everglades.
The editing in this movie is really well done, because when they first get into the shimmer, like when they walk into the shimmer, and then they cut, when they wake up from the tent and from
Yeah.
the campsite, does a really good job of disorienting the audience, because they're like, well, based on our rations, we've been here for 3 or 4 days.
Yeah, the existential
And
horror of being in the shimmer for 3 to 4 days with no memories, definitely my kink, for sure.
Yeah, it's I mean, because that's such a, I mean, can you imagine, we've been here for 4 days. I don't remember anything. I don't remember eating.
I don't remember setting up camp.
I don't remember doing anything.
Yeah, I love that kind of horror. I love that kind of horror.
I love it.
I do.
Hey, Tyler,
do.
what did I say?
Where I don't know what.
I love this movie.
Hey, I
Love
didn't
my
say that. I
country.
just said I love that kind of horror.
You're on the brink.
Yeah, you're on thin ice.
You're on thin ice, Noe.
Something I have a big issue with, and this doesn't just apply to this movie. This applies to a lot of sci-fi movies, like Alien Covenant, where they make the mistake. I mean, I know they've sent people in before, but no one's ever come out. Why don't they? I mean, it's an alien object, alien environment. Why would you not go in with protective gear at all? Yet when someone comes out, they're surrounded by people in hazmat suits. It doesn't make any sense.
You know what's funny? You say that. I can answer that question.
Oh boy.
Here's the reason why they're not. Did you notice the costume design of the people that went into the shimmer? It didn't. So this is supposed to be set in modern times, but obviously they were not in modern gear. It looked like something from the 90s or 80s. I believe that they were doing experiments on control groups of, military platoons and stuff like that. And they were deliberately sending them in with low-tech gear and stuff.
Oh, okay.
So that's what I got from it. I think that they were, the psychologist, it was implied that she was terminally ill, and which is why she went into the shimmer. It was an excuse because she wanted to find a cure for herself.
Yeah.
I think she just knew she was on her way out, and why not see an alien life form before I
Yeah.
die?
Yeah.
I thought that was more like
But
that.
I think the choice of not going in with hazmat suits and stuff like that, I think that was deliberate.
Not on the people who go in, but on the people who send them in.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Okay.
I think a lot of people, when I hear other reviews about this movie when it first came out, a lot of people were giving Jennifer Jason Leigh some shit about her portrayal of Ventress, the psychologist, the team lead, de facto team lead from the government. That she was too one note. She was too just middle of the road, very milquetoast, very uncaring. But it makes sense for someone with a death wish or someone who knows they're gonna die. She's just kind of like, well,
very cynical.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, that goes over people's heads because if you think about it, she's the leader of like a clandestine government agency. She has to be as unemotional as possible. I thought she portrayed it really well for the character that was written for her. I mean, I don't know what the thing with this plot is. There's little room for emotion.
Yeah.
For character development, which is fine, but you just have to realize that the characters are going to be pretty one-sided.
Yeah.
Except for Lena, her character goes back and forth, but I mean, she's obviously the focal point of the movie.
Yeah.
I mean, she's the one that has the connection to
Yeah.
Kane, who went in there, and they're basically.
Why do you?
It's almost. Oh,
Go ahead. Sorry.
no, I would go.
Why do you think that she hid Kane being her husband from them? You know, that's just asking for trouble.
I think it was because she had a fear of opening up. I think she just wanted to keep everything close to the chest, so to speak. But here's the thing though, is I kind of got the impression that this whole operation has been manipulated, and so maybe she was hypnotized, or it was like subconsciously suggested that she keep that to herself. Like,
Well,
while she was under.
yeah,
Ventress knew though.
Yeah, Ventress knew. But I mean, she had.
yeah. Well, yeah, she did, but she was the leader.
Yeah, she's the one that brought her.
Maybe Ventress hypnotized her.
Brought her in.
That's what I wanted to get to, is like, I think that she orchestrated this whole. I actually think that they chose Kane based on Lena being the one to
That's elaborate.
end the shimmer or whatever.
Next level.
That's some layers.
We can go deeper.
Do you want to? Can we talk about the? So the female group, they get in. They encounter some crazy stuff. They see plants intertwined where it's the same plant structure growing multiple different types of flowers on it, which is impossible. They see the crazy crocodile. Lena takes it out. It's the first time you see Lena as a badass. Everybody takes
that shot of her shooting the crocodile,
kneel down.
That's an incredible scene.
It's a great shot. Yeah. So then that's the first great intense set piece. And the second one is something that I'll remember. Like, if I saw this scene when I was 12 years old, I would probably never forget it. When they find the video footage, they make camp, and they find the video footage that Kane and his crew left behind.
Yeah,
and it's Kane cutting the stomach open of one of his partners, and you see a slithering worm snake thing inside the guy's guts. And
it was so disturbing.
Oh my God.
But I couldn't look away though. That's the thing.
Yeah.
It was so disturbing, but it wasn't
so
that
good.
gory. It was
He
just
puts his hand behind it.
Oh yeah, it slithers across his hand, and they're just like, "Well,
it was awesome."
Well, we know what happened. They went insane." I would.
And then you see him later in the pool.
Then they follow down to the pool, and you see what happens to him after he dies, and his body is dissected and grows exploded up the wall in a beautiful display of mutant fungus. With
that design was incredible.
That set piece,
I love that design.
Beautiful. Yeah, whoever created that or had the idea behind it and executed it, that was gorgeous.
It reminded me of moldy bread and how it kind of does that sort of spider veiny thing on bread. And actually, a lot of the movie reminded me of mold and how mold spreads.
I thought you were gonna say a lot of the movie reminded me of bread. the jam band from the mid '80s. So yeah, that was a scene that stuck with me forever.
The production design in the movie is pretty insane. Because most of it's outside, but a lot of the time, it is outside. I would wonder where they filmed this.
It was United Kingdom. It was in England.
Okay.
Had to keep that dreary feel the entire time.
Mhm.
It's I mean, they do a good job of making it feel like you are in like a dome. You are in this area that is sort of covered
Sealed.
by this alien oil wall.
Yeah.
Makes it
Speaking
feel like
of being in
almost like
in the mess hall act, how did you guys think about the dialogue between Lena and the psychologist about how this was not a suicide mission, but it was like a self-destruction mission?
Suicide versus self-destruction.
And I thought, well, so after watching that scene, to me, I thought the psychologist knew about Lena's affair. Like, I believe she knew that, and I believe that's why she was chosen. I believe that she was manipulated to want to go on this mission.
Interesting. I don't know. It seemed it was a pretty interesting breakdown of like the human psyche. Part of me was like, oh, that's pretty interesting, and part of me was like, let's see another monster.
I will say, like, it was just a hair bit pretentious, though.
Mm-hmm.
But I think it was, I justified it as that dialogue being like a red herring to the psychologist having a better understanding of Lena than she really knows. Like, Lena was chosen for a specific reason instead of her choosing on her own will to do this.
Yeah. The self-destructive versus being suicidal, because like she talks about like people smoke, people drink.
Yeah.
I mean, Cain. I mean, I think that Cain. Like, I don't know if Cain was chosen, or if he chose himself to go into the Shimmer.
I think he chose.
Because like he knows.
Yeah,
he finds out.
He knows that she's
and
cheating.
that's kind of like his self-destruction. Like, he's not killing himself, but he's like so
Putting himself in harm's way, at least.
like red with anger that he doesn't want to be with her because she cheated on him, and so he's just doing something like drastic and going into this foreign alien world.
It's like driving really, really fast when you're angry.
Yeah.
I don't even care, And then the person in the passenger seat's like, oh, okay. let's think about this.
Yeah, so he's not. I mean, he's not suicidal, but I think he becomes self-destructive. I think that's what she was talking about.
It's interesting.
What the psychologist was talking about.
Yeah, I think you're right, Joseph. He probably found out about the affair and took on this mission. They're like, it's a dangerous one. He's like,
Sign me up. I like how the further they go into the Shimmer, the more mutations they see and the more advanced it gets. Like, you see the colorful fungus is way more spread out the further they go in. Then they see the twin deer things with the flowered branch antlers. That was pretty cool shot. They're like not just twins, but they're also like mirrored in their actions.
Yeah. There was like, this movie is a sci-fi movie, but I feel like it borders on almost fantasy.
Interesting.
I think
So like Star Wars.
I mean, yeah, it's Star Wars is fantasy.
Well, actually, speaking of which, Oscar Isaac was in the new trilogy, and Natalie Portman was in
the old
the
trilogy.
prequels.
Ooh.
So
There's
yeah.
a connection.
George Lucas and Alex Garland must be best buddies.
Yeah, but I mean, there are definitely. I mean, it's a sci-fi movie, but there are definitely elements of fantasy in it. I mean, the animals.
Yeah, that was pretty cool.
The world itself, it's very fantastical. But then it shuts that down and goes back to being terrifying.
I like the fact that they mention after the bear takes off Shepard into the night. First of all, that scene, it happens so quick, and it's such a quick flash of the bear that you see. The first time I saw it, I thought, God, I wish there was more of that. and then it really pays off.
Oh yeah,
a few
Oh,
scenes
yeah.
later. But
Yeah.
at that point in the movie, they're 6 days in because they're talking about, do we, Shepard's
back or do we-
dead. What do we do? Do we go forward? Do we go backwards? And Ventress is saying, well, the fastest way is to go straight to the coast. It's gonna be this way. We'll follow it up, and we can catch the lighthouse on the way. Grab a burger. We'll head home. And
Meet up with Willem Dafoe.
yeah, and they
Yeah, I thought that was interesting. They name drop Robert Eggers' The Lighthouse in this movie quite a bit. It's like I wonder if that's some sort of homage to Robert Eggers.
Oh my God.
it's got to be a homage.
It's
And
a
the-
homage.
And the fact that we're all watching it the week before The Lighthouse is released is not a coincidence. The wheel knows. But yeah, so they say that they're 6 days in, and they are literally losing their shit. Everybody's hating everybody. They're fighting each other. Like they said. Ventress says they're the early stages of dementia. They're completely losing it.
Yeah, I think I mean losing 4 days of memories would get you on edge for sure. I think for me, if I lost 4 days of memory and then all of a sudden I woke up in a yellow tent in the middle of the Florida Everglades, I would be a little irate.
Well, that was just day one. I mean, in their minds. So they counted 6 days of their consciousness, but at the very beginning, the guy, by the way, has a character name, which I thought was strange. If you look at the IMDb on the cast, it's pretty well-known actor Benedict Wong. He's kind of a character actor in a lot of stuff. He was in the most recently the Doctor Strange series. He was the little sidekick. Yeah. His character's name is Lomax. They never once in the
Lomax?
whole movie say his name. He doesn't have a name tag on. It's Lomax. But you'd only know that if you went to IMDb, apparently, or watched the credits. So how they came up with that, I don't know, but it's besides the point. When Lomax is interviewing Lena, he says, "You were in there for 4 months," and she's like, "Oh, okay. I thought I was in there for days, maybe weeks." So at this point, she's only 1 day away from the lighthouse, which is where the climax happens. So she spent 7 days of consciousness in there, and they were in there for 4 months. So it's pretty scary to think about.
Yeah.
I thought also it was kind of interesting how the different characters deal with their insanity in different ways. The paramedic Anya, she deals with it with anger. She's angry at other people. She's lashing out. She's Lena's like, "Are you okay?" And she's like, "Yeah, just leave me alone."
Yeah, that
angry.
scene where she ties up Natalie Portman and all the other characters.
Oh,
That was
love that scene.
That was the
So
most
good.
I loved, and it was the most frustrating scene ever because you're just like you want to sympathize with her, but at the same time you just hate her.
Sympathize with who?
Yeah. With Gina Rodriguez?
No, yeah, with the paramedic.
Yeah, Anya, Gina
The one-
Rodriguez.
the one-
Because at first I sympathize with her because I mean, how would you react if you found out that one of your it was very
Kane the whole time.
Yeah, it was very circumstantial. So like I get it, you're trying to survive.
I get it. I would have done the same thing. I would have tied up all my
I don't know
quad
if
mates.
I don't know if I would have done that, but
That
like
And then she gets her fucking jaw ripped
oh
off.
my god.
that
First off, that monologue that she does where the three of them are tied up and she's pacing back and forth is
bone chilling.
gut wrenching.
Yeah.
It's panic inducing. It's so well written and performed and directed. It's like that's in my top tier scenes of film of all time, because you're like sitting there like your gut is twisting thinking about what she's gonna do to these people tied up, and then she says what she's gonna do to them, and you're like, oh.
No, please.
If I,
Oh yeah.
yeah, if I,
But I'm not the one tied in the chair.
yeah, if I let you go, and you tie me to a chair and cut my insides open, will they wriggle like that guy? But I'm not
Yeah.
tied up. You are, and you're like,
Yeah.
oh no.
Yeah, that was great. That
Turns
was
into
great.
Reservoir Dogs.
Yeah, exactly. And then enter the scene, the most horrifying, nightmare-inducing CGI bear human hybrid.
It's not a human hybrid.
There's a human skull grafted on the side of its skull.
Is it?
Well,
Yeah.
actually, it is actual. It's an actual bear they designed. It's not. Some of the bear is computer graphic, but in that scene you're talking about, where it's moving up towards them while they're tied up to the chair, that was actual practical effects.
That was a animatronic?
Yeah. Well, it wasn't animatronic. It was a puppet.
Wow.
That's
Yeah.
Intense.
Yeah.
Yeah,
It was.
You can't see it. I didn't see it the first time either when I watched it. And I think Bree pointed out to me. She's like, yeah, I had a skull grafted onto it. And on the bear's left side of its skull, which is all exposed with its teeth out and its top of its skull snout all exposed.
I mean, it's like an exoskeleton.
Yeah, kind of. It's almost the skin's all worn off on the top of its skull, but the on the left side of its head, its left eye is the same as the right eye of a human skull, and it's like hanging off the side of its skull. And then while it growls, the shrieks of Shepherd that was murdered by its is just grafted together into this groaning, shrieking bear growl. Oh, it's haunting.
It's almost like the bear ate the soul of Shepherd. Like she's trapped in there, or it could just be some sort of like, I don't know if it's just like a byproduct of the bear and being in the shimmer, or if it's like part of the bear's like trickery, you know?
Yeah,
like
that's
she runs out.
interesting to think about.
I was thinking it was definitely evolutionary for sure, since everything was evolving so quickly in the shimmer area. It was probably a since they were sending so many people in, it probably developed that like survival instinct, like food comes when humans cry.
Well, you can food comes when humans cry.
Yeah.
That's the tag. Should be the tagline of this movie on the poster.
Food comes, humans cry.
Well, I don't want to jump too far to the climax, but I mean we should probably get there. But when Lena has the humanoid alien dance scene that they're doing, it doesn't start evolving into looking like her until it gets touched. It touches her hand, and then slowly its body starts absorbing the look of Lena. I think that's kind of what happened with that bear. As soon as it attacked Shepherd and started, and the only thing it knows of that being that is attacking is the shrieks of her dying.
Yeah,
that's the part that gets absorbed into her. And she's the one thing she hears before, when she hears her calling for her, she just hears her calling to her friends, Thorensen, Radek, Ventress, or whatever, because that's probably what she was doing as she was being eaten to death by this bear. She's screaming for help.
I thought it was interesting when Josie sort of kind of seppukus herself with flowers. Like she becomes of the flower people.
Yeah, I do have a problem with that scene.
I didn't really understand her reasoning.
I think she was going crazy just like everyone else was, but that was her coping mechanism.
It wasn't fleshed out that well.
Nah, not really. It kind of was a little bit of a cop out, but
yeah, that's what I thought too. When she was just like, "I'm gonna be one with this. I'm gonna be one with this bitch."
Well, she does say, she says, Ventress wants to understand it. You want to kill it. I don't know what I want. And then she just walks off and she turns into a bush.
It was really the best thing that could happen for her, because obviously everyone had to die except for Lena.
It was just kind of an abrupt ending. They're like, "Oh well, what do we do with this character?" Well, I guess she'll just kill herself.
Yeah, it was weak, but considering the context of the plot, it made sense. So it passes.
I mean, it was a fine ending for her. Like, it was kind of a beautiful suicide, the way she went.
She walks into the wilderness kind of like she's walking into like a deep pool of warm water. Like she's just slowly walking in, just accepting, and then as these branch structure is growing through her arms and body and stuff.
Yeah.
And then you cut, and you never actually see her, which one of the things is her, but you know that one of those flower human things is her.
Yeah.
Yeah. I actually, it's funny. I thought when I first saw this movie, I thought I remembered seeing her like be a flower person, but after watching it a second time, you don't see her. That was a really good choice.
Yeah, definitely.
And she says at the beginning when she's being interviewed by Lomax, she goes, she says, "What happened to Josie Raddick? She dead?" And she goes, "I don't know."
I guess
Because she confirms that Shepard is dead. She confirms that Thornton is dead. But Ventress and Raddick, she says, "I don't know," because Ventress turns into a glowing ball of energy that turns into in the bottom of the lighthouse.
Which, speaking of the lighthouse, I love the design of the lighthouse.
The classic lighthouse.
The lighthouse itself, or the
No, just the infected lighthouse, I should say.
The white root structure growing throughout it.
Yeah, just the veiny look and the hole inside of the lighthouse itself.
Yeah,
it
the
was
glass trees
very
on the outside.
It was very inviting visually
and also creepy.
Yeah.
What I got out of it was that Alex Garland took a page from the Ridley Scott production design handbook in the pit where the
for sure.
Yeah,
it looked Geiger-like for
very
sure.
H.R. Geiger.
Yeah.
So we flash forward past everyone goes their own way. Raddick turns into a flower, and then Ventress veers off on her own through the middle of the night, and Lena meets up with her at the lighthouse. They go through this beautiful crystal glass tree, growing all over this sandy shores, and they just, I loved the little impactful bit about the human skeletons, like dove into the sand with the hips up in the air, like they were worshiping the lighthouse.
Oh yeah.
Oh god, it was creepy. You're just like, oh cool, let's just keep going into this thing where there's 9 skeletons.
It sets the mood. It sets the mood for sure.
Yeah.
Going into the lighthouse.
Yeah, because it's like, what went on here?
Yeah, and I'm sure those are the people who were in the previous missions or whatever. They made it to the lighthouse, or almost to the lighthouse, or maybe they made it in and went insane and then came out and worshipped the alien thing or whatever.
It just that's the set design for this movie was actually of the most importance to keep the movie going, because the plot is very existential like. It's very in your head, so you have to have visual things to use for your imagination rather than this is why the book does so well at portraying this, because you can put it in words, but to put it in a movie is incredibly difficult, and Alex Garland definitely went above and beyond with his set design to make sure that you are intrigued constantly with the little things, putting the shimmer in every single shot, even if it's not focused, making sure the color blocking is very extreme. I don't know if, yes.
Do you think that he hit a double or a triple?
Oh, I would say he hit a home run.
No, I totally agree with you. It's every instance of it is beautiful, and it's. I haven't read the books. I still want to borrow it from you, Tyler.
Yeah.
But the scene when he gets into the lighthouse, she gets into the lighthouse and she sees another videotape.
Yeah.
Just cool plot device of being able to show what happened before. Little convenient, but still pretty cool.
I love that, like,
great.
You have the video camera that's super old, and you're like watching like past footage.
Yeah.
There's one thing I do want to say that's kind of not related, but I just want to put it out there. This movie made me feel like I wish this was like an interactive amusement park ride. You know what I mean?
Annihilation Land.
Yeah, like you and four friends go and live out the plot of Alex Garland's Annihilation.
I vote Tyler gets ripped to pieces by the bear, and I want to be a flower person. Joseph,
I don't know.
I
I thought that would be an interesting thing. I mean that it's very visual, you know.
Yeah.
It felt like a haunted house walkthrough.
some scenes, yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
But the movie that she's watching of Kane, self-immolating,
Yeah.
with the phosphorus grenade, another really well written monologue. You know, and only after watching it a second and third time did it make so much more sense. This movie definitely lends itself to being watched multiple times, but he says, Kane's sitting there on the ground, and he says, I thought I was a man. I thought I had a wife. People called me Kane, but now I'm not so sure.
Yeah.
And I've had long conversations with Bree about after he blows himself up with the phosphorus grenade, and then second Kane comes into the camera view, and Lena's head is about to explode because she has no idea what the hell's going on. That's the beginning of, is the new Kane, is it the alien Kane? Is the Kane that's alive that escaped the Shimmer? Is it like alien Kane, or is it original Kane that's just mutated?
What would have transpired between human Kane and alien Kane that would make the alien Kane commit suicide?
Yeah, I agree. I'm in camp. Alien Kane is alive.
Yeah, he's been
Original.
Well, I definitely agree with that too. But as to bring up Joseph's point about what transpired while he was with Alien Kane, that's an interesting concept, because Lena, when she is with her double, like, they fight. But what did Kane and his double do? Because obviously the alien Kane had to learn some sort of emotional intelligence from him. So I'm wondering what went on.
They sound like they had a conversation.
Alex Garland's going to release a one-man show on Broadway in 2020 that's just that situation. The two Kanes. That's what it's called. Two Kanes in a lighthouse.
I thought it was, this is like a small thing, but like in the video when Kane is talking, he has like almost like a southern accent.
Yes.
I thought that was kind of weird. Like
Natalie Portman's character visually looks different in the beginning of the movie than she does at the end of the movie too. Mm-hmm. It's kind of hard to put your finger on it, but she looks. I'd be very curious to see what the makeup artist would say they did on it, because I'm with you that his draw is different. There,
I think it was. I think they might have shot the ending of this movie before the beginning, and I think they were going to go in the direction of Kane being southern.
Well, what if he absorbed the draw from one of his squad mates?
Oh yeah, that could be it too.
His DNA got refracted with a dude from Tennessee that's been in the army his whole life.
Yeah,
oh,
maybe.
Shit, dude, you're blowing my mind.
I mean, it's kind of a small implosion, but it's not like a huge plot detail that he's from the South.
I get off on those small details, dude.
You know what blew my mind? 1 hour,
What?
32 minutes, 50 seconds in, when Ventress is in the hole.
Oh yeah.
Which Natalie Portman just goes into the hole out of nowhere, which is scary
hole was
as shit.
made for her.
Yeah, and Ventress is sitting there with her eyes all puttied over or whatever.
Yeah.
And she says, our bodies and our minds will be fragmented into their smallest parts until nothing left remains. Annihilation. And then you cue the deep synth music. Wow, wow, wow.
Yeah, that's when it turns into a sci-fi movie.
Oh shit.
I actually did not. I think that that line was ham-fisted in there.
I don't give a shit. That's the best shoehorning of the title of a movie.
Yeah, it was like the biggest fanfare.
It
There was
was.
fireworks.
It was.
There was
Right before, there was fireworks. Yeah, I was dancing around my living room. me and Bree saw this in theaters, and I started violently shaking both of our chairs when it happened. I'm like, "Wow! Did you hear that? They said it."
I was telling Joseph too that this movie is really a great theater experience. It's kind of shitty that it got a limited run in the theaters, but the sound design of Annihilation, it deserves to be seen on a theater venue.
On the topic of the theater release, did you know that it was released on Netflix worldwide the same day that it was released in theaters in the United States?
Yes.
Yeah, I did, and I was
So
unhappy
weird.
about that.
I know.
Odd
It's
release.
Weird. Yeah. And I don't know. I don't know if there was something about Netflix in America that they didn't want to do that with or whatever. I don't know.
No, what happened was that a financier at Paramount thought this movie would not do well because it was quote unquote too intelligent to be successful towards general audiences.
Wow.
But I think that was not a good judgment call because
That's condescending.
this movie is very revered in a lot of circles, and I don't think it was too over the head at all. It was very straightforward, and this was the original cut that Alex Garland wanted to be released theatrically, as far as I'm aware of.
Yeah.
So he stuck. He got what he wanted.
Yeah, the problem with it, so the audience benefits from this movie being streamed when it's released, but not Alex Garland, because he doesn't make money when the movie's being streamed. So I thought they did him dirty, because this movie was a gem. It says
it's a production budget. The budget was between 40 and 55 million, and it grossed 40 million worldwide.
Yeah,
So,
it broke even.
Probably because of
the limited release.
What they did with the Netflix release. But I mean, it had Oscar Isaac in it, who was at that time already revealed as a Star Wars lead.
Mm-hmm.
So I think worldwide it probably would have done well if people would have seen it in theaters.
Yeah, definitely.
I want to say though, when Lena's looking into that fucking weird ass morphing matter
Orb
in front of her face, didn't it kind of look like she was like one of those rave kids watching those finger light shows? You know what I mean?
Like they're on LSD and someone has the finger gloves in front of them.
Yeah, they're on Molly.
Yeah.
If you look closely, she's got a pacifier hanging around her neck too.
Yeah, exactly.
She's got Vicks Vapor Rub rubbed under her nose. It's crazy.
What I thought was, so when she's doing that, the orb or whatever, the matter absorbs her blood, and then it creates a
replication,
like a mannequin at first.
Yeah.
And then it's not until they touch again that it becomes her clone almost. And then it sort of, that whole interaction where it's like mirroring her movements, but it's like slightly delayed.
That was so creepy.
It's like I viewed it as like the alien was like syncing with Lena, like she like matching
20% synced.
Yeah, like matching her
50%
her
synced.
movements and like the way she behaved, like trying to become her for whatever purpose, almost like a body snatchers kind of thing.
Yeah, so from the time that the title of the movie is spoken, which is beautiful scene, and then it goes into the
turns into Page
synth
Master.
wave. It's 10 minutes long of a heavy deep synth acid trip with a humanoid replication of her, basically fighting and dancing in the upper part, and it's got like special powers too because it teleports behind her.
Yeah.
It's a really, I think that if it wasn't for that scene, I would probably lose a half star on this movie. It's so like obscure and like artistic the way it's done, and I think that was probably one of the reasons why the production studio didn't want to release it worldwide, was because that final scene was just like, what the fuck is going on?
It's almost like a Terminator.
Yeah.
Like it's almost.
You say you bring up a good point, because you say like, what the fuck is going on, like in that ending sequence.
Yeah, the finale.
For me though, I think that the general audience would have been fine with that. They would have been fine with that because it was so well acted that you knew what was going on. You knew that this alien was trying to mimic human life, and it was copying the movements of Lena.
Yeah.
Think of the average person you see at the DMV, just sitting there waiting to renew their license because they didn't renew it when they were supposed to, and now they have late fees to pay. And look at them and tell me that they would enjoy that scene. That's the cross section of humanity that goes and sees movies.
I want to believe. I want to.
They
believe.
don't. But that's okay though. I mean, it doesn't have to be. Just like Wayne Campbell says in Wayne's World. Was it Led Zeppelin didn't write music that everybody likes? They left that to the Bee Gees. You don't. Every movie doesn't have to be liked by everybody. That's why we have Annihilation. Is just it's fucking great.
Yeah.
I think that the scene where Lena's clone starts morphing into her, like in real time, that was the creepiest fucking transformation scene I have ever seen.
It's pretty good.
Yeah. Yeah.
What were you gonna say, Joseph?
I was gonna say let's talk about the ending of this movie. The very last scene
where she meets Kane,
where she's back in the hospital. Kane's like all better now, and he's awake. He's lucid. Obviously not the real Kane, but it's almost like she's still herself, but it's not really herself anymore. She's not alien, but she's not human anymore.
Both of their eyes are changing colors live, real time, shifting as they are hugging each other. And it made me think that it doesn't matter if it's alien Kane or old Kane or alien Lena or new Lena. Her DNA is so out to lunch that she's not the same person she was, and neither was Kane.
Nope.
So
Yeah.
on the topic of that, it leaves it open-ended, leaves you thinking about a lot.
What's going to happen? What does their future look like?
What happens next? Do we have aliens on Earth now? Are they going to spread? Are they going to...
I mean, she destroyed the Shimmer.
I mean, what do you guys think? Do you guys think that they were aliens?
Well, I think
Kane was an alien.
Kane's wholly alien. He's more alien than she is, but he's an alien that's made up of Kane's original DNA. And when the alien creature was destroyed and the lighthouse was destroyed, everything that was still purely alien in Kane died too. That's why he came back to life. So he's left with his human parts, but they're altered from an alien perspective.
And he's like, because he doesn't. He's like, "Are you Lena?" He doesn't know her.
Yeah,
he doesn't have the memories.
So on the topic of what happens next, the one flashback I mentioned earlier, where they're not in bed together, Lena's reading a book called "The Immortal Life of Henrietta Lacks," which is about a poor black tobacco farmer whose cells were taken without her authority or authorization, and her cells are the basis of the polio vaccines and many other vaccines we have in the real world today. She had these really unique genes, and I think that if you really want to go into conspiracy theories about Lena being chosen,
I do, Pete.
Yeah, I know. You're like 3 levels deeper than anyone else watching this movie right now, but which I love. But I think that she is brought. Her and Kane, they're like Adam and Eve. They've brought this alien DNA to the Earth, and they're 2 already sexually compatible beings that are ready to repopulate the Earth with alien DNA.
Oh shit, dude!
So,
I love that.
Annihilation 2, Electric Boogaloo, on its way out, 2022.
So what I thought of the ending is I thought that Kane was a perfect replication of Kane without the memories. So when the Shimmer was destroyed, Kane was technically Kane in quotation marks, but was he, what makes a human, memories. He didn't have Kane's memories, and so that's why I think Natalie Portman embraced him so much, because she knew that like this was like a fresh start for her and her husband.
Yeah.
I do agree with you, Pete, that I think that their DNA is so altered into alien stuff. Even Lena, obviously they allude to Lena being the actual Lena that comes out of the Shimmer.
Because it's obvious that she kills the alien Lena.
Yeah, which I kind of have a problem with that too. I was hoping they would be more ambiguous on who was going to be the alien Lena and who's going to be the real Lena.
Yeah.
Not too much of a criticism. I think that when you see Lena's eyes changing, at first I thought that was going to be because she's so close to the new Kane that his presence is altering her DNA.
Yeah.
And like he is the source of the Shimmer now, since the original source got destroyed, and he's like the last remnant. It's kind of like a beacon almost.
I like to think that regardless of if it's an alien Kane or a original Lena, that they both are altered. Definitely. And that you get to see both of them together. And in my opinion, there's no arguing the fact that it's alien Kane there. I know that it's open to a little interpretation because you don't see it start to finish like you do with Lena's journey with the alien replicant. But besides the case, I mean, it's all very thought-inducing. Yeah. Conversation. Interpretive. It's open to interpretations, and it's
And I mean, I mean, not to get too much off topic here, though. Alex Garland directed Ex Machina, which it evokes that same kind of conversation. So I gotta give it to him with leaving. It reminds me of how I didn't really like the ending of Inception. Because it was too open-ended in my opinion.
I disagree.
But I love Annihilation because it closes it off just to a certain point where you can make your own assumptions more specific, and it's more grounded in a sense when you make these conclusions.
You kind of have the end of a story and the beginning of another one that isn't going to happen.
Exactly, yeah.
You guys got any other bits you want to chime in on before we wrap this thing up?
I just think the movie ends on not a negative feeling, but it ends on a down note. It's not a positive, happy ending, but it's not a.
I don't think either one of them are happy.
No, it's not a sad. it's not a sad ending. It's not a bad ending. Like not bad as in that wasn't a good ending. It's not. It just ends on a downward stroke.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I agree because, I mean, people died, and nothing was learned.
Yeah,
it was just kind of.
We don't even know if they're carbon based or silicon based.
Yeah, it was just an event. It was an event that happened, and it costed lives and probably billions of dollars in taxpayer money. It was truly a disaster event.
It's a disaster movie, actually.
Yeah.
So you start the movie with all these questions. You get some of them answered, and then you end the movie with different questions, maybe more of them.
Just like life.
And one last thought I do have about this movie is at the end, it got really close encounters of the third kind, with the music, because it seemed like the music was synced with the movements of the actors, and I really appreciated that because it immerses you more. And I would, if this is ever in theaters again, you should see this movie in theaters because the sound design is definitely meant for a theater experience.
With this movie, I would definitely watch along with it or compare it to Arrival.
Ooh, yeah.
Because it's a very similar story about a woman who is chosen because she's a pro-linguist and is different by the end of the movie.
I have Annihilation on Blu-ray, which is how we watched it this week, and that's the first movie in the trailers before the DVD, before the Blu-ray plays.
Mm-hmm. Oh, really? Wow.
Me and Bree were like, "Ooh, we should watch it. We should watch Arrival again." I think it's the same music in both those too. whoever did the music on those.
Johan Johansson did Arrival.
No, okay, then that's not, because he was not attached to Annihilation.
Rest in peace.
Alex Garland doesn't have that much clout, okay?
No, not yet. So for anyone who watched this along with us, enjoyed the movie, and wants something else, you have Arrival for sure. But watch some of Alex Garland's other stuff. He's a very prolific content creator. He was a writer for 28 Days Later. He was a writer for Sunshine, the Danny Boyle movie.
Oh yeah, that's a good one.
He's eclectic in his tastes. He did.
You should
he
also
did
watch Dread.
The screenplay for Dread.
No,
he also was.
too.
No, I don't think so.
Yes, he did. Yeah, he did.
Oh, was he like the de facto director?
He was
because Pete Travis is listed as the director on IMDb.
Yeah, so he didn't. Yeah, he wasn't on set. It was Carl Urban confirmed that Alex Garland.
Yes, I remember that now.
Yeah,
that's great. He also was a writer for Enslaved, Odyssey to the West, the video game, and Devil May Cry, the video game.
Really?
Yeah, it was the it's the soft reboot of Devil May Cry, which is good. Which is good. It is good, but it is not the original Devil May Cry. He is not a weeaboo.
And then writer and director of Ex Machina, which Tyler mentioned last week. Just a great movie.
One of the best dance scenes in a movie you'll ever see.
Yes. And he's got the original screenplay for the upcoming Halo movie. Unannounced release date yet.
Really?
Yes.
Halo
movie? Well, actually, there's a story behind that. He wrote the screenplay for the Halo movie that was going to be, but then I think it was Universal who pulled the plug on him and Peter Jackson.
Oh, Peter Jackson and Alex Garland was attached to it, and they pulled the plug.
And which I thought that it's very controversial because
that's ridiculous.
Can you imagine a Halo
the scope of that movie with those two?
Wow.
And for the haters out there saying this isn't related to Annihilation, Halo is totally related to Annihilation because it's alien, okay?
Because it's an alien.
Because there are aliens.
And it's the second movie we've done a review on for this podcast that the director went on to produce or direct a video game movie because Duncan Jones did Warcraft after Moon.
Oh yeah. After 310
yeah. Wait, did I get that right? Did I get that right?
Yeah. You did.
Okay, cool.
Yeah, you did.
In my head, I was thinking I screwed that up. This will all be edited out. Just kidding.
And one final thing, though, is the shot that is behind Lena when Lena's looking at the burning lighthouse in the end of the movie. That very, very well done. Very well done.
There's a ton of great still shots that could just be like a photo in themselves from this.
Yeah. So I hope Alex Garland comes out with another movie soon because Ex Machina, Annihilation was the perfect sophomore to Ex Machina.
Yeah, it's impressive for a second release for sure. Ex Machina was impressive for a first release.
Yeah, for sure.
Ratings, guys, 1 to 5 stars.
I give this movie 4 out of 5.
4 out of 5, huh? All right. Yeah. I give this movie also a 4 out of 5.
I'm gonna give this a 4.5 out of 5. The set design was too good. The scope of the movie was too impressive to stick with 4 stars. Overall, I can't.
Wow. Thanks.
Yeah, you guys really shit the bed on those ratings. Your ratings are wrong. Mine is right.
You do bring up a good point about set design.
No, you locked it in. Too bad. 4 stars. That's what you give it.
4.6. 4.6.
So we're gonna move on this week. We're not gonna spin the wheel of destiny.
Fuck this.
Fuck it. Too many Pete choices.
I know. Too many. Yeah. Erroneous, dirty tactics. So we're actually doing a special episode next week for Halloween. So instead of spinning the wheel and choosing a movie to review, we are going to do our top 5, all 3 of us, top 5 Halloween movies recommended for you all. And then before that, instead of doing a streaming picks, the 3 of us are going to go watch the Lighthouse this week, and we're going to report back and do a mini review, mini deep dive on that.
Spoiler free.
Movie. Spoiler free, yes. Normally we go full spoiler in our reviews, but this one, since it's in theaters, we're not going to spoil it for anybody. And
we'll practice restraint.
Yes, we're all really excited to see it. I hope you guys are too. It's getting a wide release this week, so we're gonna go watch it and report back, and then we're gonna give our top 5 Halloween movies. I'm gonna try to keep mine to ones that are streamable on the 3 major platforms: Hulu, Amazon, and Netflix.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking too. I was gonna keep my picks like accessible.
Right.
For the most part.
There's probably going to be some crossover, but that's okay. That just means it's twice as good.
Yeah. And it makes it more interesting, I think.
Yeah. So that's going to be next week. You guys got anything else you want to say?
Do you have a pick to replace Annihilation? Do we want to...
Let's leave that for next week.
Okay.
Yeah, I don't have anything picked out just yet, and I'd rather
keep you on your toes.
Yeah, we'll keep it for next week.
Any changes to the wheel?
I'm good with Stoker. Stoker's my other pick.
I know, Tyler, you changed Mad Max, didn't you?
Yeah, I am changing Mad Max to Mr. America.
Oh,
directed by
Tim and Eric.
Not Tim Heidecker. He's not the director. Crap, I can't remember the director. But it stars. Well, I think he's an executive producer, of course. But Mr. America is about Tim Heidecker's character in the At the Cinema universe, which also has another Adult Swim show called Decker.
Mm-hmm.
It's a very immersive universe that I'm not going to go too much into detail, and you should check it out. If you are not a fan of dry humor, though, you will not like this movie.
All right, well, I put that on the list. I erased Annihilation for now. I'll come up with a pick by next week.
Nice.
So please follow us on Facebook, facebook.com/MCFC podcast. Write us an email at mcfcpodcast@gmail.com. And as of last week, we've been on iTunes and Spotify, but
really?
we're now on iHeartRadio. iHeartRadio and the
cool.
Google Play Store. So I had a couple friends that were talking to me about. I was mentioning the podcast too, and she said, I listened to it, but I have my Android and I don't do Apple, podcasts obviously. So we're now on the Google Play Store on podcasts, iHeartRadio, and Spotify and Apple iTunes. Yeah, so recommend us to your friends. If you like what you're listening to, subscribe, rate us. We have a few ratings right now on iTunes. It's pretty exciting, and we just appreciate everyone who's taken the time to listen to what we're doing every week. We all take a lot of pride in it, so
thank
you guys
you
got anything else to say?
Very much.
Thanks.
Please give me money. I will, if you DM me, I'll give you my Venmo.
Money me now.
Money.
But no, seriously, it's I love talking about movies. Love talking about movies with my bros.
That's right, bros.
So we're gonna talk about movies even if no one's listening.
Yeah, even if it's double down.
Double down every week.
So, all right, thanks everybody for listening, and we'll catch you all next week.
See ya.
See you later, guys.